Zombies were incredibly popular, but have since fallen from grace. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there were just so many things with zombies in them, from TV, movies, books, and games. Just like the characters in these works, it felt like people couldn't escape from zombie mania. Saturation lead to backlash, and now zombies are just another generic monster type, rather than the main focus of anything, save for exceptions like The Last of Us. Of course, the point of any good zombie story isn't the zombies. It's to tell a story about humanity. Zombies reflect people's fears of other people and even themselves. An undead outbreak puts characters past their breaking point, allowing creators to explore themes of despair, anger, paranoia, and more. Days Gone is one of these stories. But having released at the tail end of zombie fatigue, it was sadly ignored by most. Days Gone follows Deacon St, or Deke for short, a biker who lost his wife at the start of the outbreak. 2 years on, he's scraping together a life alongside his best friend Boozer. The pair may have been part of the same biker gang, but it's clear from the start of the game that they're emotionally keeping their distance from each other. Deacon is still taking out his anger on any zombies, or as they're called in the universe, freakers, he can find. While Boozer is worried, he never confronts Deke about it. The inciting incident for the story involves Boozer being injured by some cultists, and now Deacon needs to get more involved with the nearby settlements to keep his friend alive. Things, of course, escalate from there, and throughout the game, Deacon learns to open up more, beginning to really trust people again, and eventually make a real difference in their lives, as well as come to terms with his past. The zombies are really more of a backdrop and gameplay mechanic to a story about unlearning toxic masculinity. The game's survival mechanics revolve around Deacon's bike, as players need to keep it repaired and fueled to get anywhere. At the start of the game, the bike is pretty fragile and can't hold much gas, so players will find themselves coasting down hills to conserve as much fuel as they can and avoid alerting nearby zombies. This makes exploring the world more involved than in most games, save for something like Death Stranding. There's a ton of stuff to do on the way between destinations, too, all focused on making traversal easier. Most involve taking out nests of zombies, making the surrounding area safer to explore and loot for materials. Special locations have hordes of zombies. The game overall makes survival mechanics more streamlined and fun. Instead of a hunger mechanic passively ticking down in the background, players actively use gasoline and need to refuel on it occasionally. Weapons don't degrade, but the suppressors players can make to silence their guns do. It makes everything feel active rather than a few otherwise unrelated mechanics that the player needs to occasionally perform maintenance on. Actually, most of Days Gone's marketing focused on the gigantic hordes of zombies players would face rather than anything that actually made the game interesting, so it's difficult to blame people for not giving it a second glance. Ironically, what the game actually is fits in far better with Sony's first-party output these days as a story-focused, mature title with a big open world and fun action combat. That first impression has lasted, however, and the game was largely forgotten until a remaster of the game released for PC and PS5 at least. The remaster exists on PS5 as a $10 upgrade for those who already own the game, a $45 individual purchase, or as a free update on PC. The remaster adds DualSense features, more accessibility options, tons of visual improvements like darker nights and better skyboxes, overall more colorful visuals, and a horde mode, though that is a $10 DLC on. The game also runs on Steam Deck fairly well. It has a verified badge, though those don't mean much without anecdotal evidence now. The PC version looks and runs fantastically, and the PS5 version has two graphics modes, one for 4K at 30 FPS and another at 1440p and 60 FPS, though a third is coming in an update to add an in-between 40 FPS mode for those with compatible display. For the best visuals and frame rates, however, players should go with PC. It's a great upgrade, especially for those who own the game on PC. Hopefully, this will let the game reach more people and fans can finally get a follow-up of some sort. The game doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It's very self-contained, but its gameplay is fun and unique, with nothing else really scratching that survival itch in the same way. Players do have plenty of emotional and deep stories in games, especially today, but Days Gone hits all the right notes.